Hello there, good afternoon. I wanted to follow on from the video I done last week, just in regards to the team training. So I have had a couple of messages, people asking about the team training, not necessarily inquiring about it, but just maybe thinking that that's all we were doing. And I understand that. I think obviously the name fundamental coaching as well indicates that we're focused on the fundamentals, which we are. However, that isn't limited to any particular age group. In fact, the team training is only a tiny bit. Currently only do Tuesday night for 1 hour. So it's 1 hour per week, dedicated to teens 12 to 16. Okay. I wanted to talk about why. The reason that I started with the idea of team training is my eldest son Bobby. He's 13, and he's been on at me for a while. Dad, can I go to the gym? I want to go to the gym. You know, the usual. He sounds just like that as well. And I do feel for him, because he's like I say, he's 13, so he can't go to a commercial gym until he's 16, and I understand that, because I do train at commercial gyms, and I wouldn't want a lot of 13-year-olds running around. So I think having a dedicated space and time for those to train, for teenagers to train, is fantastic. I think it's really good. There are a few other gyms that offer it. I'm not the only one. I do feel like there could be more, and maybe should be more. But I do also understand why that maybe isn't so. I know North Tyneside Barbells, they do team weightlifting. I think that's more of a team thing. I might be wrong, but they're a great bunch of guys down there, and I'm sure they would be happy for any teenagers to go along and take part. I think Stag Fitness do some stuff for teens as well, which is fantastic. I know Craig, he's a good lad and strong as an ox. So he's great to develop teenagers and focus on strength. What I really want to focus on is, I study psychology, not just the exercise psychology or health psychology, although I do lean more towards the biological perspective. I do think that spills quite heavily into social and developmental. Now, with any kind of psychological study, if you like, it's often you have to look at studies, you have to research what you're going to be doing, why you're going to be doing it, and then you have to discuss your findings. So I've looked at a couple of studies, and one that really stands out is a study that was carried out, I think, in America, by Ortega and friends in 2012. It was a longitudinal study on middle school students, and what the study found is students that showed higher levels of muscle strengthening exercise, so that were partaking in muscle strengthening exercise more than students that weren't, actually showed lower levels of depression, of loneliness, of rejection, peer rejection specifically. And it kind of leads you to start thinking, well, why? What is it that strength training or as they say, muscle strengthening exercises, what is it about that would encourage or discourage depression and loneliness? Well, the loneliness is quite easy to see, isn't it? You know, if you're part of a community that is of like-minded people, you're all there doing the same thing. So it creates this, can be friendships, or maybe not friendships, maybe the only time you ever see them is at the gym. And this is applicable to adults as well as teens, but this is really, I wanted to focus on the teens. So the loneliness is quite straightforward. You can see how that might help. Now, I think what this study then goes on to discuss, or to look at, is how it does. So it looks at self-worth. So the students that were strength training, they showed greater self-worth, higher levels of self-worth, and competence. They were more competent, they were more obviously competent in the strength training, but that can spill and lead on to other things as well. So for me, I can actually see it in Bobby. I can see specifically, I'm going to give you an example that actually happened. So going from doing a dumbbell chest press, so go from doing a dumbbell chest press, and he'd see another kid, team, doing a barbell bench press. So he's thinking, I would really like to do a barbell bench press. Then when he actually achieves that, you can see it in his face. You can see him kind of go, I can get in, I've done it. Get in, I've achieved it. That's applicable across the board to adults as well. If you don't train or haven't trained a lot, you hear people talk about PBs and all of this, and I think sometimes on Instagram or social media there's a focus on the number on the side of the plate, the number that you're lifting, and to be honest, who gives a shit? Who cares what number's on the side? Who cares what you're lifting? Nobody. The only person that really cares is you, and the only reason that you care is because it's a greater number or a greater achievement than you previously achieved. That's it. Simple as that. So whether you've went from lifting a 10k dumbbell to a 12k dumbbell, or whether you've deadlifted 100k to 120k, it's irrelevant. The fact is that you've experienced growth, you've experienced development, and I think that is what teens really gain from this. That level of confidence, that level of gratitude as well. It's showing them a great deal of gratitude, and they're grateful for having to do it. That really changes how they can apply themselves to other aspects, to education, to their social network, their social circle. They're probably less likely to be bullied because they've got that self-belief, that self-worth, that competence. You can't push me around because I can bench press a barbell. Ha! You know? And I don't think that violence or any sort of fighting is good, but I do think that as a parent, the last thing that you want is to hear that your kid's being bullied. And if that is the case, focusing on competence, self-worth, self-belief is the answer. It's the answer. So that, hopefully that gives a little bit of a rationale to as to why we're doing it. Fundamental is obviously the name, the brand, whatever you want to call it. For me, again, especially if we're looking at teens, the reason I called it fundamental coaching is because that's what we're looking at. We're looking at the fundamentals. We're looking at the things that you start with, the building blocks, the platform, the foundations, whatever, the fundamentals, okay? So for teens especially, from the ages of 12 to 16, if we're looking at somebody 13, 14 years old, and what I really want them to achieve is that when they turn 16, they can tell me where to go and stop paying me any money and go to an everyday gym and do it themselves. That would make me happy, to be honest, because it would mean that I've done my job. It would mean that I've taught them something, that I've encouraged them to develop, you know. So I don't want or expect a 13, 14-year-old teenager to come to teen training and then in 10 or 15 years time still be training with me. I would feel like I failed, you know. So I want to teach the fundamentals so that you can go off and do your own thing. But that's exactly the same for adults. If you come and train with me, I don't want you to still be training with us in 10 years time. I generally don't. I don't. Probably not even 2. I'll be sick of you by then. I'm only kidding. I want you to learn from the things that we're going to go through together. And I want you to go off and apply those to your own training. If you want to revisit it and come back and we can look at it again. But focusing on the fundamentals and focusing on how you maybe should be training and what's good for you is what we're hoping to achieve. So I hope that adds a little bit more clarity. Love making these videos. They're not awkward at all. Really not. So have fun. Thanks for listening. Has that stopped? Yes.